You're listening to Titans of the Trades. I'm your host, Ryan England, author of Hire Better People Faster and creator of the CoreFit hiring system, a proven process to help growing companies attract and retain only the best. I'm on a mission to revolutionize the perception of the trades and elevate it to new heights. After growing up in a blue-collar family, my passion for making the trades cool again runs deep. If you're a Titan in the industry and want to be on my show, stick around until the end and I'll reveal how you can be my next guest. I met today's guest at a summit that I went to here in Nashville, and it was for a software platform that I've been using for 6-7 years, and we share it with a lot of our clients. But this was really just to learn what other people are doing with this software and how they are communicating with their people. And I met her because she was one of the featured speakers, and she got to talk about the way you communicate in being able to speak the language of the people you're talking to. And so I saw it as a great opportunity to bring her on the show and talk a little bit about that. But we got even better stuff coming out of today's episode than what I thought we would get, because she dropped some amazing nuggets, some great truth bombs, and some opportunities that you may be actually able to apply in your business. So I want to welcome to today's show, Tamara Palmer with Flagger Force. Tamara, welcome to the show.
Hi, great to be here. Thank you.
So we met probably a month ago now at the Beekeeper Summit, and what a great event that was. I got to hear you speak from the stage talking about the impact that technology has had on what you're up to at Flagger Force. And the thing that really caught my ear was the fact that you talked about speaking in language that leaders understand, speaking in language that maybe the people that aren't on the front lines can relate with. And that was just really impactful for me, because here on Titans of the Trades, this is meant for leaders. And sometimes we might have the best ideas, but if it's not in language they don't understand, then they're like, oh, that was a cool episode, I don't know what to do with it. You know, it's like, I got to have her on the show to talk a little bit about that. So as we jump in, give us a quick high-level overview. Who's Flagger Force? What do you do there? And any other thoughts you have about that topic of leadership?
Yeah. Well, great to be here again. Thank you.
Yeah.
Flagger Force, we do short-term traffic control. We work primarily with utilities clients, but we do have a lot of retail work. And what that means is that anytime there is some sort of service to be done, a wire to be repaired underground above, a water main breaks, something might close down the road, or we have to impede the lane of traffic. We need flaggers for that. We have to control that environment so that people are safe as they drive through there, and the utilities clients can do their work safely. So Flagger Force is called up to do that job, and we then have become experts in this industry because, believe it or not, every single roadway is different. Every state has a different requirement. There's a federal requirements as well. So we have not only absorbed the knowledge of what is required to make sure that we set up that road safely by the typical standards, we then have become an industry expert that we, in our training and in how we present the information across the industry, we're really trying to turn this into we have turned this into a full-fledged career for people who are interested in traffic control. And right now we're working in about, I would say, more than 10 states across the entire East Coast, but we are rapidly expanding westward. We've got 2,200 employees. I'd say about 2,000 of those, maybe a little less, are the frontline flaggers and our field leadership group as well. And then the rest of us are working different capacities and supporting them in risk, training, marketing, communications, recruiting, HR, et cetera. Yeah.
That's great. Just the impact that you're having in those 10 states and with that many frontline employees, which that's where my heart bleeds. I love those people and what they want to do to create life for themselves and their families and everything else. But, I'm going to say what everybody's thinking right now, which is, so you're the reason I'm late for work.
That's exactly right. We are the reason you're late.
And it's interesting because before I met you, I just thought, oh, they were part of the construction crew. Like, that's what they do. Like, utilities just have these people that turn the signs and or on the walkie-talkies to make sure that everyone's safe. But
I'm the
I
same
just
way.
think
I
it's
did not
great.
know that this was a profession before I applied for the job. So we're in the same boat. I was completely unaware.
But I mean, one of the things I think is really cool about it is you create so much variety for your frontline because no two job sites are the same. They're probably rarely called out to the same job site because once that water main's fixed, they're going somewhere else. And so just a lot of opportunity there.
Mhm.
What are some of the challenges? I mean, you guys are pretty large, I would say,
Yeah.
as a company. And so you probably see a lot of things that some of our listeners are thinking, oh, I don't even see that stuff yet because I'm in my own little bubble. What are some of the biggest challenges that you're encountering out there as Flagger Force continues to grow and you think about, the next steps for you guys?
I would say that the biggest challenges for us are almost the same as our opportunities. With our workforce, they are primarily dispatched from their houses. And across all of those many states, you're talking about people that they never generally report to one of our office locations. They literally leave from their homes, whether it's in their personal car or if they're in a leadership position, they're driving a Flagger Force truck. They get to the address. So sometimes they're continuously working with the same client or sometimes with the same people, but not always, right? That dispersed nature is what has allowed us to grow so rapidly as a company. Because we can basically go wherever the work is at, where we are needed, we travel to it. Of course, then again, that dispersed nature is the challenge in terms of coordinating communications, which is where I come in as the internal communications manager. So that's a big concern. But more than that, besides communicating and having a two-way dialogue between the Flagger Force office and the frontline employee, we're gonna need to face that challenge. But it's bigger. There's training involved. How do you keep people up to date with the most recent HR policy changes? What if there was something happening like a hurricane that we had to respond to and do emergency order work for? There's so many facets to having a workforce as large as ours and as dispersed as ours that we really need to accommodate. We need to do what we can to make them safe and give them the resources that they need to effectively do their jobs well and be successful.
Wow. I'm thinking here as you're describing that, I we work with clients all over the country that struggle with getting guys to show up to the same job site every day. What have you got? What has Flagger Force done to figure out you're dispersing people all different directions all the other time? And I imagine that you've solved some of the no-shows and the last-minute call-ins. Like you've figured something out. Like, tell me a little bit about your world as it relates to that.
Well, like anyone, we do have our fair share of no call, no shows, and calls offs. But I think what we've done is from the get-go, we're pretty straightforward when we recruit and when we bring people in for day one of new hire orientation about what to expect. So people who like to be outdoors, people who love to be kind of in control of their own destiny are perfect to be flaggers because we give them an incredible amount of responsibility. You're talking about very small crews, generally, of flagging employees who are dispatched to a job site, maybe one or two crew leaders, one or two crew members, and they have to take all of the equipment with them, all of the signs, all of the cones, a very self-contained moment. They have to then take control of that roadway and manage it all day long. So it's a really empowering job for people who like to kind of be out there, cowboy hustling, as we call it sometimes internally here. And that's great. If you like that kind of job, then this is going to be perfect for you. But it's a hard job sometimes to be out in the elements all day long. It can be very dangerous. So with that, there are some times where we might have high turnover. We might have those call offs, those no call, no shows. But one thing that we've really done in the last couple of years is we have created, I think, a great points system, an attendance points system that is accommodating enough. We understand that life happens. And when our employees start with us, they have a bank of points that they can use. They can make withdrawals, if you will, so that when life happens, when they're sick, when they have a doctor's appointment, when they have, maybe their kid is sick and they couldn't go to work that day. They can withdraw the points and not be penalized. And after a while, those points will roll back in and be added to their account. So we create a degree of flexibility in terms of setting expectations for what the job entails and then giving them a point system and a lot of other support, but things that help them to be successful and, keep coming back to work every day.
And that point system, you're not talking about like paid time off or anything, correct?
No, it's different from paid time off. We certainly offer paid time off, but our attendance points bank, as we call it, is literally just that. We start off with 24 points, and depending on the type of infraction, we'll make a withdrawal at 2 points, maybe 4 points, but then like I said, those will be added back in after a certain period of time, either 30 days or sometimes up to 6 months, and it's realistic, like. It's a realistic way of treating people where they're at, where, they're going to have some degree. Our people may have difficult places where they came from. They may not have a good social support network. They might really be completely on their own with not a lot of help. And there will be moments when they just can't get to work. So we want them to stay employed. And by creating a system with give and take like that, we've done a great job of building up our base that way.
So I want to explore this idea a little bit because this is so cool. And I've never heard about this point system like this before.
Yeah. Okay.
A lot of times companies tie it to a paid time off, right? Or something like that, because that's just what they know. But this sounds a little bit more like, hey, we understand life happens and we want you to know that we're invested long term. And so we're going to allow you to take these withdrawals. Don't overdraw and we'll be good, right? Like
right.
This is kind of how I hear it. What, like if someone no calls and no shows, is that a points withdrawal or is that terminate? Like, how do you guys just deal with that specific example?
Yeah, so there's definitely a point withdrawal with that. I believe if you no call, no show, I want to say it's either 2 or 4 points. I can't remember off the top of my head.
What if you call out? How many points is that?
If you call out,
it
depends. Like if you do it within 4 hours or less of the job, you're going to lose 4 points at that point, because that's putting a real burden on the client and us to backfill you. If it's 4 hours or more, then you'll lose 2 points. No call, no show is a little different, and we treat that one a little more severe. If you no call, no show, then that's just frankly disrespectful. So that one will come with a written warning, and if you were to be unreachable after a certain period of days, 3, I believe. And if you had another no call, no show, then at that point you would be terminated. So what we do is we have a lot of really great marketing material, and we basically tell people, we're like, look, don't ghost us. We understand if you can't come in that day, but we would much rather that you call off and tell us than just not show up at all.
Yeah, even if it's you woke up and your kid's sick and it's less than 4 hours, like it's better to call us than it is to just ghost us.
Yes, we hammer home. We're like, just communicate. All we need you to do is communicate. I mean, think about it. Like the whole world would be so much better if we were all more apt to communicate with each other. And even as little of these examples as like this, just don't no call, no show. Just let us know where you're at.
Yeah, I think a lot of times, and I don't know specifically at Flagger Force, but with a lot of the parts of the industry that we work with, to call your team lead or your superintendent and say, hey, I'm not coming in today. A lot of times that's not met with the, oh my gosh, is everything okay? It's met a little bit more aggressively with, what's wrong with you? Why would you let the crew down? And there's this like layer of guilt that's put over them. And so I think a lot of people have just said, hey, it's easier just to not call than to have to wade through that thick guilt of not being there or even getting yelled at for not showing up. And I think that's the wrong message. I think we need to be letting people know, hey, we want you to communicate with us. Yeah. And as leaders, we just need to do better at being understanding, because I love what you said. Sometimes they don't have a support system. Sometimes they're all alone. Sometimes, a lot of times, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but a lot of times people that are in entry-level jobs, they didn't make the best decisions always in their life. And so maybe they've got other things that they're having to deal with. And I think that as employers, it's our responsibility to say, hey, you know what? We're going to put our arm around you and say, hey, we're walking this walk together, but we have an obligation to our clients. we have an obligation to each other to support each other. So we need you to be invested here. But we understand that life happens. And it sounds like that's what you guys have done at Flagger Force with the point system. Is that fair?
That is fair. That is fair. And I mean, our company is founded on the idea that we believe what we do matters and that we believe we will make a difference. So when you apply that mission statement across the board, that means everything we do, from the way we set up the financial system, the way we scale business development, all the way down to how we support the very people who are out there working every day. What we need to do, what makes a difference for them, meeting them where they're at. And you're right. A lot of people, when they come to flagging, they didn't expect to make it a career. They came to us for one reason or another, whether they were having trouble keeping steady work. There's plenty of examples of that. You've had people who were just completely done with whatever their career was. They just desperately needed a change, and they randomly saw an advertisement for Flagger Force. I can't tell you how many people I've talked to at this company who are like, I never intended to stay past 3 months. And then, 5 years later, they've been here and they're now an advanced crew leader working really complex jobs. So it's just so empowering to see that this company supports the field and the office, for that matter, at every level, because we understand where these people are coming from. We have actually a really huge second chance hire program that we use at Flagger Force as well, where we have candidate referral partners who are helping people who are transitioning back into society. We've got some pipelines where we work with different organizations that help those folks transition into the working life again. It's just such a great place where we've created all these resources to help people, because we believe, flagging is a career. It's really great for people who are interested in it. Let's support them.
You said second chance programs, and like my heart goes out to you, because I think that there needs to be more of that, the second chance programs, because it can do so much to impact someone, not just their personal life, but also just their mindset and the way they think about things and the connections they have with people. And you said it earlier, and I don't need to understand all the inner workings, but it sounds like it's a small group of people that we're going to work closely with as we go out to these different job sites and stuff like that. So opportunities to create relationships and those kinds of things.
It can be.
Yeah. So much stuff that you guys are doing over there. Gosh, I love the point system. I love that you say, what we do matters and what we do makes a difference. And it's not just to the client. It's not just to the driver who's on their way to work and keeping them safe, but it's really about your people as well. So
it is.
What's another thing that you guys are doing to really connect? You had made a comment about someone's, they came here, they thought they'd be here for 3 months and they stayed for 5 years. Like, what are you guys doing to make that happen? Tell me a little bit about that.
Hands down, it's our culture. I mean, and culture, there's so many ways that you can create a strong culture at a company, right? But at Flagger Force, it starts with our leadership. We are living and breathing our VVM, our values, vision, mission statement. We constantly talk about the VVM in all of our training. It's on these beautiful placards printed all over the corporate campus or in every single office. Like, that's a big part of it. And we train on that in onboarding, both for office and for our frontline field staff. Now, that's a big component. We take safety so seriously. We call ourselves a safety-driven company, because we want people to go home in the exact same condition that they started the workday. And what's cool about that is that's kind of an expectation for the frontline flaggers. You're probably like, yeah, sure. You tell your guys out there and gals, be safe and stuff like that. Don't, make sure you do this so you're not getting in trouble with hit by cars. But we are so meticulous with our training. We put our people through more training than any of our competitors. We have a micro-learning app where we give them these little bite-sized trainings on safety and operational procedures. And we push that out on our app. And then even at the office level, we embody the same type of safety One great example is we have what's called first move forward here. And that means that whenever you have a vehicle, whether it's your Flagger Force truck or your personal vehicle, you always pull into your parking spot, either so that you can drive forward or you back in so that you can drive forward, so that you minimize the risk of damage to the vehicle or yourself or anyone else. So every person at every single office backs into their parking spot. You will notice immediately if you walk up to one of our parking lots and you see a car that has pulled in, it sticks out like a sore thumb. And I know that seems like a kind of a silly example, but that's the mentality that we have here, where we are so committed to safety, and we are literally, as a company, all committed to our shared goals, so that we can keep people safe, we can keep clients safe, but that we can continue growing together. Like, we create new jobs at this company all the time, positions that didn't exist before, whether it's in the field, in a new growth area, or it's in the office because it's a new department or a new role. I mean, it's incredible to be a part of that. I don't know, it's like a 20-year-old company that it's always innovating, and I love that so much about this place. So that kind of culture permeates. So that innovation means that we continue to evolve all these programs that not only keep us safe, keep us moving forward, but keep us innovative as well.
Well, and I know that you guys are innovating there because what you're doing with Beekeeper and some of the stuff you shared there with that software platform. And for those of you listening who don't know what Beekeeper is, stay tuned, because we have an episode coming out shortly where we're going to get to talk to someone very high up and important over there that is just making things happen for these companies that just have so many frontline employees. Because keeping your arms around 2,200 people when 2,000 of them are out in the field and communicating with them, and they're not sitting there supposed to be on their phone or on emails, like, I mean, that's not the world that you have. But you said something that I think, speaking of that world that you've created over there, you said something that I just want to know a little bit more about. Mm-hmm. Because you had said that whether you're at the office or in the field, people are pulling forward. Like the first thing they're going to do is move forward. And so they back into parking spots. Mm-hmm. And, when you have that, you either know that that's a visitor or that is a new person applying for a job because they didn't know any better. But correct me if I'm wrong, but I heard you say whether it's in the office or the field, we're doing that, which means mm-hmm. you've gotten the office to embrace some of those safety concepts and some other things. And so often in the trades, we see the office and the field are like this, like they're just opposite each other. Like they're like, no, we're in the office. We are superior than the field. The field are lower than us. And the people in the field are like, hey, you wouldn't have jobs if it wasn't for us, right?
Yep.
So
that's true.
What are just one thing that you've done or that you've seen Flagger Force do that's really helped connect the office and the field under that same VVM and just that company culture? Because that's amazing. I want to know how you did that.
Well, I mean, so many people have come before me, and I've been with the company for almost 7 years, and they have done a great job of building that culture. But, there came a point where we started off in just Pennsylvania. And now, I mean, look at how far we've grown. So there came a point where the type of communications and the trainings and the interactions that we were having between the office and the field, a lot of it in person, was no longer scalable. We actually put in a call center and centralized our operations about 6 years ago. And that was a big culture shift in terms of having both the corporate office and a lot more of those satellite facilities. But as we were growing, we really found that some offices would do things a little bit differently than another office. And there wasn't the quite same level of consistency in training and communication, and even in recruiting practices for that matter. And that's, that was a big reason why we needed to centralize, because we knew that we needed to grow and we wanted to be very standard across the board. So that's, that was already kind of a known quantity. But right before that happened, Flagger Force hired me to help them solve their field communication challenge. Because again, we were at a point when I was hired, I think we had about 1,300 employees, and most of them were field. And there was a lot of breakdown in communication happening. Mm-hmm. So we did this focus group, leadership held numerous focus groups where we brought in people and we talked to them exactly what their needs were. And one of the biggest things they told us was, your communication, yeah, no, it's terrible. And there was a lot of other things that came out of those focus groups where we were able to make policy changes. But the one that I'm, the most passionate about is communication. So when I came to Flagger Force, the idea was you need a mobile app. You really need a mobile app. You need some sort of technology to bring together all these people in a way that you no longer could because they were not meeting face to face very often. And we were growing so fast. So that's where Beekeeper came in for me. We've been with them for 6 years now, and it's been so great because before the app became it's like institutionalized now, it revolutionized the company. It literally did, and that's not just me, that's everybody. So proud of everything that everyone's done, but because the culture was so strong, we were able to just sort of like infuse the culture, the VVM, all the trainings into our app. And it's all branded with the same colors and language as everything you see in the buildings. We use all the same language. It's such a great environment. It literally is the digital virtual extension of having in-person face-to-face conversations. It's been such a great thing that we've been able to use to help us keep our people connected even as we grow. And both among the field employees and between the field and the offices as well.
It's incredible that your leadership team came together and said, hey, you know what, let's figure this out. And everybody said communication is our biggest challenge, which I think most companies live and die based on how good they communicate. And especially when you have a distributed workforce that's remote, that's out in the field, it's different. A lot of companies, they, with COVID and everything, they're like, oh, we're going to let people do remote work. And now they're pulling them all back together because they found out how challenging it is. But here you have Flagger Force, who's got thousands of people that you have no choice. You have to figure this out.
Yes.
I used to tell people that, if you want to know how to do remote work, look at construction companies because they've been doing it since they started.
Yeah, that's a great concept, actually. It's one thing because oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, go ahead.
I think a lot of what I have found over the years when talking with other industries, other businesses, and it's not even about Beekeeper so much. We just sort of talk about communication. A lot of them will say, yeah, we need good communication, or yeah, my communication needs to be better. But they don't necessarily know how to make that happen. And I think what Flagger Force has been able to do is figure out how to make that happen by having different departments infused in the communication process. Like we have champions, if you will, at Flagger Force who are utilizing our communication platforms, including the mobile app, the Beekeeper app. They're in there talking directly to the field. We've got operations that are using it, field management. Everybody understands the value and they're having a two-way conversation so that it's not just one person who's, putting out some posts on an app that people might be scrolling through. Like, no, it's legit. Like we use it for business purposes. Sometimes we use it for people to find jobs, replacement work. You can get all of your information on there. So it's really great to see how that's been infused at such a broad level here at Flagger Force.
Fantastic. So Tamara, tell me, how do people learn more about Flagger Force? Because I think what you guys are doing over there is, whether you're recognized for it or not, you guys are setting the example. Like you guys are being the example for how this should work, how you keep your arms around your people, and how you really invest in them and care about them. And I mean, the point system, I'm still just thinking through how amazing that is that you guys figured that out, just to let people know that, life happens and we know it happens. And as long as you play nice with us, we will play nice with you. Like we understand. Don't ghost us. That's the message.
Exactly. Don't ghost us.
How do people learn more about what Flagger Force is up to? Maybe they would like to connect with you, maybe through LinkedIn or something. How do people get a hold of you?
Well, all of our information about applying for jobs or what our services are on the website flaggerforce.com. So that's I would recommend people go there and check it out. And you can see our people in action. Definitely the safest in the industry. And I can be found on LinkedIn as well. My name is Tamara Palmer. I'm the internal communications manager at Flagger Force. So we can start the connection there. And depending on what your need is or who you want to talk to, I can help facilitate that interaction and that meeting.
Excellent. Thank you, Tamara. I've really enjoyed today's conversation. And I wish you guys the best at what you're doing over there at Flagger Force.
Thank you. It was really great to be here. Thanks, Ryan.
Ryan England here. Thank you so much for listening to Titans of the Trades. If you're a titan in the construction, manufacturing, or skilled trades industry and would like to be a guest on my show, please visit podcast.corematters.com. If you found value in this interview, would you share this episode on social media? Just do a quick screenshot on your phone and share it with a friend or post it on social. And if you know someone that would be a great guest, tag them on social media to let them know about the show and include the hashtag Titans of the Trades. I love seeing your posts and guest suggestions. We are regularly putting out new episodes and content. To make sure you don't miss any episodes, click the subscribe button. Your thumbs up, ratings, and reviews go a long way to help promote the show and get me one step closer to solving the labor crisis facing the industry. Want to know more about how we're doing that? Go to our website or follow me on LinkedIn. Thanks for listening.